Hello, this is Frank Mealy from HeartlandDiaryUSA.com, bringing you news every conservative can use. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay up to date. Well, Leland Vittert has done it again. The liberal on Fox News smeared not just President Trump, but also the Border Patrol in his interview with former Congressman Darrell Issa. Later in the interview, he also equated President Clinton meeting with Loretta Lynch privately to protect his wife, Hillary, from charges, with President Trump tweeting publicly about the outrageous sentencing of Roger Stone. There are other highlights as well. Just watch and be amazed that Fox News has Leland Vittert on the air.
Bring in former Republican California Congressman who served on the House Oversight Committee, Chairman Darrell Issa, currently running for Congress in California's 50th District, a little bit south from where he used to represent. Congressman, good to see you, sir. We appreciate it. Let's start with this. Do you think these Border Patrol teams will actually make a difference, or more of window dressing for the president to prove he's doing something?
Well, Leland, the 18,000 men and women of the Border Patrol make a difference every single day. The question is, where are they making a difference? At the border, where we need more fence, more wall to free up some of those people? Absolutely. But in the interior, where you have my state obstructing the removal of MS-13 and other criminal aliens, they're going to make a big difference. The people that are being affected by crime on the streets are the very people they claim they want to protect. Police cannot protect from criminals if criminals are, first of all, not arrested in California, not prosecuted in California, and then if they're illegal, they're not even deported from California.
We saw that clip in Lucas's report from the mayor of Los Angeles, and then also that soundbite from the police chief. It seemed as though it was a pretty damning indictment of the way the federal government was asking Los Angeles to enforce its immigration laws. How is it that you've got a police chief basically saying we're not going to enforce laws because they happen to be federal? Do you question his sincerity, or is he just following along with what he's being told to do?
When I talk to law enforcement, police officers of all sorts, including the deputy sheriffs I work closely with, they all want to release from their jails criminal aliens directly to ICE. They want them gone. They don't want them back on the street. But they're prohibited by our left-wing legislature and the laws they've passed, signed and approved by 2 Democratic governors in a row. They are prohibited from doing it by state law. They want it changed. You ask any law enforcement person off the record, they're going to say it. You talk about somebody who's a political appointee like the police chief, of course, to keep his job, he's going to say what the mayor wants him to say.
It brings up an interesting question because President Trump is headed out to California for some fundraising and some other visits. He is the president of everybody in the United States, but I don't think anybody thinks he's got a chance to win California come November. In part, he does these trips and highlights the differences between California and the rest of the country. Does that message translate outside the borders of your state?
Oh, absolutely. And remember, Leland, there are pockets of red here in California, including the 50th Congressional District. These are places where my voters are energized, but throughout the state, millions of people, even the ones who might not have voted for President Trump, they want safe streets, they want the jobs protected, and they know that President Trump is doing it. So he is triangulating the bad behavior of New Jersey, New York, and California to help the rest of the country, but he's also sending people to those states to protect the citizens, and right now are not being protected by their own law enforcement because of these adverse policies.
You certainly were an outspoken member of Congress, both from the hearing rooms and then also on cable television. Take you back to 2016 as you talked about this video, the meeting between Loretta Lynch, then the Attorney General, Bill Clinton, former president and husband of Hillary Clinton, who was running for president. This is the video of that famous meeting on the tarmac, and this is what you had to say about it.
Madam Attorney General, what were you thinking? When would you ever allow yourself to be compromised like that? It's practically jury tampering when you have that kind of ex parte event.
In that same vein, would you ask the president what was he thinking if he's going to be tweeting about active criminal cases?
Well, I think the Attorney General said it very well. He's never had a conversation about these cases with the president. The president allows him to do his job. But the president does have an obligation in his mind and in reality to communicate his thoughts to the American people. And this president, President Trump, does it like no other president. So I think there is a disconnect that you have to accept, that President Trump will tell people what he thinks. He will allow the Attorney General to do what he thinks is right. That's what's supposed to happen. People just aren't used to a president who expresses it.
But,
Leland, remember, the president has the absolute right of pardoning. There's no question that the president can change the outcome if he chooses to. But when
there's a difference, though, between presidential power and presidential propriety. Forgive me, Congressman, but I think that if President Obama had tweeted such things about Fast and Furious, you would have been up in arms. You certainly were about Eric Holder saying that he was President Trump's wingman, or President Obama's wingman.
Well, remember, President Obama actually covered for Hillary Clinton, saying he thought she didn't commit crimes when, in fact, she had classified documents in her home and had left office. So there's a history of actual interference and actual statements by the chief executive that are very different than simply an opinion that a sentence is going to be too long.
So you're saying that by President Obama saying that Hillary Clinton didn't have committed any crimes, he was putting his hand on the scale, and you don't like that. But what President Trump tweeted vis-a-vis Roger Stone isn't putting his hand on the scale?
Well, I think when you deal with sentencing, and I think this is an important distinction, when you're dealing with the crime, was it committed or not, we could have a discussion about when it's appropriate or inappropriate to speak. But when you're talking about an opinion of whether the crime and the punishment fit, quite frankly, the court welcomes people to weigh in with their opinions. As a matter of fact, there's a process to do it.
Yeah.
So, yes, it's the President of the United States, and it makes a difference. But let's remember, the President of the United States is looking at a host of people who committed bigger crimes and aren't even being prosecuted. Well, one of his friends is potentially going to jail for a decade.
You'd have to wonder if President Trump's going to write a character memo for Roger Stone to give to the judge. That would be one. That would be one to see. Congressman, we appreciate your time as always.
Thank you, Leland.
Thanks for being with us, and enjoy the rest of the weekend out there where it's a little bit warmer than here.
It is. Thank you.
All right.